Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this live webinar on financialization of commodities in India and emerging career opportunities. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our esteemed speaker for today, Dr. Shanmugam. Dr. Shanmugam is a partner with MCQ Consulting Business Division of Shimes Service Limited. He's also a visiting faculty at the NISM. Before that, he worked in various capacities with organizations such as MCX Stock Exchange, Nomura Research Institute, FinTech India Private Limited, and the United States Department of Agriculture. Dr. Shanmugam holds a doctoral degree in agriculture economics. Sir, a very warm welcome, and I request you to lead the way from here.
Thank you, Rajalakshmi, for that kind introduction. Actually, so with that, let's jump into this new area that's coming up. Actually, so hearing about this particular first word in this webinar, which is financialization, everyone would think that am I going to talk about commodity derivatives? No, I'm not going to talk anything about commodity derivatives at all. I'm going to talk about how to connect commodities with the area of finance in India. When I talk about commodities connecting to finance, it is about physical commodities connecting to the world of finance in India. And what are the emerging career opportunities that are coming up? Why should they be connecting? And through connection, actually, what is that India is going to achieve out of that? Is that something we are going to talk about? And also, we are going to talk about an interesting course that we have e-learning course that we have launched to make you to develop your skill sets in the area of scientific warehousing and financing of commodities and the technology in warehousing and various other areas, including warehousing operations and things like that. Actually, so that's a certificate course. So you can even give your effort into pushing through this course and getting certified and look for opportunities in the Indian warehousing sector, actually. Okay, so what is that? Before I get into about the Indian warehousing sector, where is India in? So you all know that India is the fifth largest economy, and the rumor is that we may at any point in time become the third largest economy in another 1 or 2 years. That means our economic activities are growing. That means our national income is growing, actually. And if you divide by the the population, then you get the per capita income. And that per capita income today at the nominal level, it is around 3,534. And at the real level, it is around 2,850. So having said that, where are we in terms of per capita income or per person income? If I have to put it very simply, per person income, that is the total GDP divided by the population. So we are somewhere at around 140, actually. So that is what is the current situation. So we are fifth in terms of our GDP, and in terms of our per capita income, we are about 140 or 45, actually. Okay, so having said that, actually, where is India headed for? Is this GDP going to further increase or not? Obviously, this GDP is going to increase, and that GDP will be driven, the increase in GDP will be driven by the 1.2% growth in the population, which is, as of today, the population is about 1.44 billion, heads in the country, actually. So our population rise is also 1.2%, slightly above the population growth that is happening in the world. That means we are adding up not only hands to work, we are adding up mouths to feed. That means our agriculture sector is more and more under pressure to produce more and more output so that it can meet the food demand that will be coming in, actually. So that is another factor, actually. So if you look at the population by age, so India has got about 67% of the population in the age group of 15 to 64, actually. So which is, much higher than the world, but slightly lesser than China, But if you further narrow it down to people who are below 35 years of age, India has the largest population of people who are below 35 years of age. So that is another significant factor which actually makes Indian economy much more bullish in terms of its growth, actually. So if you look at the median, the line, the brown line, which is constantly going up. So China's median age group is slowly and slowly expected to increase and touch up to 50 or 52. But India is, likely to remain somewhere between 35 to 40 in another, let's say up to 2050 or something like that. So that means we will have more hands to contribute to our GDP, and so thereby there will be increased average annual income of the population, actually. So it's increased population that would need more food grain to be fed with, actually. Okay, so where are we in terms of our average income? As I said, in terms of our average income, we are about 140, and the per capita income, if you convert that 2,500 and 115 into the Indian rupee, so it's around 2,000, 2 lakh, 20,000 or something like that. And that the per capita income has been growing at the rate of around 4.5%, actually. So every 72, every around 15 to 16 years, our per capita income is almost doubling up, actually. So our per capita income is doubling up if you go by the principle of 72. Okay, so coming back to what is India, how is India faring in the international trade? Is it that we need to only feed the population within the country? No, we need to become a football of the world also. That basically means our imports would have to go down, especially on the agriculture side, and our exports of agri and processed food agri products would also have to go up. And at the same time, we need to move on from a trade deficit scenario into a trade surplus scenario so that we can earn our dollars out of exporting more and importing less of commodities. So that is another pressure that our Indian agriculture carries on its shoulder to produce more so that we can export more. And that export more is also coming up more or less because we have many non-resident Indians who today they are staying abroad, and they would all want to connect with processed or unprocessed food products that are sent from India rather than the same food products that may be grown in the countries of their stay, actually. So that basically means India cannot only send labor abroad and get the remittances. India also has the obligation to send the food abroad to them and get the remittances so that it can sustainably grow over a period in time. So that is another pressure on the agriculture side in terms of what India has to do. In addition to population, the women population in a nutshell is also growing. Not that women population is growing, but that women population in workforce is growing. So more than a third of workforce today constituted by women, actually. So and the employable talent, which is actually people who have the skill sets and the talents which can make them employable. Women are much better than the men as of the day, as per the India Skills Report 2023. Actually, so that basically means going forward, we would have more women who could be employed, actually. So that has an implication for what we eat and how we eat, actually. So that is basically meaning to say that we have to move on from raw agriculture products or slightly processed agriculture products to highly processed agriculture products, which are convenient for the women who are in the workforce, actually. So our food processing has to go up over a period in time. And same is the case, when you look at the CXOs or the chief financial officer or chief executive officer, actually, many of them have women in one or the other position globally, actually. And the other trend, it's not only population increasing, it's not only the women in the workforce are increasing, but also that we are becoming increasingly urbanized. Actually, when we become increasingly urbanized, we would have less and less time in terms of contributing to food preparation and buying and selling of food and other activities, actually. So what we need is we would need more of processed foods to be supplied, especially in the urban areas, actually. So these are challenges which Indian agriculture is supposed to be facing with at this particular point in time. Okay, so that's particularly with respect to the overall situation. Actually, where are we in terms of our food adequacy? Actually, and that's not so good. Actually, so having said that, as per this survey, which is in the Business Standard, actually, Business India, which says that 79% of Indian households reported food insecurity in 2021. So that basically means they are a little afraid about availability of food at some point in time in the year, actually. And 25% of the families reported severe food insecurity. That means they didn't have access to the food, actually. And come back to the data, right? What is the cost of a healthy diet in India, which is per day, which is 2.97, approximately about $3 per day, which is around 250 rupees a day. And that basically pushes many out of the healthy diet. That basically means out of our 1.44 billion or 1,440 million people who are there, 900 million people do not have access to a healthy diet in a day. They would have to go hunger, they would be hungry, maybe not eating one of the foods or eating less of what they would want. And so thereby they become less and less productive. And the challenge is we need to make food available to each and every one, be it in the rural area, be it in the urban area, actually. And at the same time, even in the latest monetary policy report, RBI has raised concerns about the food inflation, actually. So that's again another factor which will make food increasingly inaccessible to much of the population, actually. So that is again a big concern. So that's something we need to look into, how we can actually ensure public food security. Though we do have public distribution system, food subsidy and everything, actually, but yet this is what we produce. This is what is available for feeding to the population that is in the country, and so there is a huge deficit in terms of what is available and what is needed. And if you look at uh, the Indian food palette, actually. So the Indian food palette is largely consisting of grains, very less of meat, around 1% of meat, and 7% of vegetables and fruits, and 19% of sugar and fats, and then dairy and eggs to the extent of about 8%. That's basically because dairy and eggs, we are the largest producer in the world, actually. And if you look at where India will have to move towards where the world average is. Though I would not say that, like, there is not much of a change. What would happen maybe in another 5 to 10 years is that India would be consuming less and less of grains. India would be consuming more and more of meat, actually. That is going likely to happen. That basically means we need to convert whatever that we produce as grains or vegetables or fruits in terms of meat production in the market, actually. So that basically means, given the conversion rate of different animals from poultry to the pigs and the cows and things like that, the goats and things like that, we will be moving down in terms of food that will be available. At the same time, people will be moving on, demanding more of meat compared with grains, actually. So there is another pressure, which is number one, increasing population. Number two, increasing exports of agricultural commodities. Number three, increasing need for processed foods, actually. That means because of the higher urbanization and because of more women under work. And as our income grows, again, our food plate has to change, and that change will push us towards more of meat. That means we need to produce more of grains so that these grains and vegetables and fruits can be fed to the animals, and we can actually take meat and feed the population with more of protein, actually. So though it's not development which is healthy from the perspective of what is the food palette. But again, this food palette, which is the world food palette, is more rich in protein, which is what India is actually looking for. That's the other thing, actually. Okay, so that remaining, this is what the challenge the Indian economy is facing. Coming to what India can supply to the world, India can supply to the world to the extent of around 325 million tons, or India can supply to the country and the world to the extent of 325 million tons of food grains. Actually, food grains includes your oil seeds and your pulses and then your cereals and everything. So 325 million tons. We have we have grown up in terms of our food production enormously, actually, somewhere around 225 tons around 15 years ago to 325 million tons. I mean, our scientific community has helped us in terms of increasing our food production in terms of newer varieties, hybrid varieties, better crop protection, and better crop cultivation practices, and farmers investing in better cultivation practices, and that increase the productivity. And is that enough? That is one question. That may be enough. As we move forward, you will understand that that may be enough if we can cut down on the losses that we are taking up in carrying these grains to the population ahead, actually. So where is the problem? Where is the problem? That's the critical question. So, as you all know, we grow our crops in 3 seasons, which is the Kharif season, which is starting from now, and then the Rabi season, which is the winter season, starting from October and harvesting in February, and then March till June, which is your Zaid season. Actually, Zaid season is largely, the short duration crops, including vegetables and fruits and things like that. But the Rabi season and Kharif season are very critical in terms of production of cereals, pulses, and oil seeds, actually. So take it rice, take it wheat. All of them are produced during the season, and it has to be stored in the warehouses so that this can be carried forward. So the point that I just wanted to say is the 325 million tons of cereals or food grains or pulses that we have produced in the country would have to be stored and carried forward for the next 11 or 10 months, actually. So that, having said that, we have to have strong scientific storage practices in the country, actually. In addition to that, we also have to have very robust supply chain. So what do we have to do in order to have a robust supply chain? So before that, let's look into where India is. India is the world's second largest food producer in the world. Actually, India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world, actually. And India has number one in many of the spices. We are going to talk about mint or coriander or turmeric. So we are actually a dominant producer of many of these commodities in the world, actually. So that's another factor, and which actually uses potential not only to feed the population in the country, but also to export them and earn foreign exchange income into the country. Are we doing it? This is what we are going to look into. Okay, so the slide here is going to tell you why we are not able to achieve what we want to achieve. Actually, we waste a lot of our food. Do you know that the largest wastage happens in cereals and oil seeds and poultry meat? It's not in and pulses, but it's not in milk or other meat other than poultry meat, actually. So the poultry meat is also going down over a period in time because our eating habits are changing from fresh poultry to frozen or chilled poultry. So that's again going down. But on the other hand, wastage of cereals, pulses, and oil seeds have been going up for a period in time, actually. So that basically means we need to have scientific storage and robust value chain. One small thinking process, the statistics that I would want to leave in your brain. A total annual wastage of farm produce is estimated around 92,651 crores way back in 2016. That was an interesting number, actually. Think about it. If we are able to save this 92,651 crore worth of the food grains, actually, we would have fed our population. If we had fed our population free of cost by saving 92,651 crore worth of farm produce, actually, we would have cut down two-thirds of our food subsidy, which is about 1.5 lakh crores, actually. So there has to be a serious effort to be done by the government in terms of increasing the scientific storage and preventing wastage of farm produce in the storage and the value chain. So be it value chain, be it storage, be it processing and packaging, all of this is existing because we don't have scientific storage and transportation practices, actually. And scientific storage and transportation practices would actually bring in scientific processing and scientific packaging as well into the picture. Because if you have to scientifically store it, you have to scientifically package it, actually, and you have to scientifically process it, actually, and then you can transport it. And the beauty of the scientific storage, which today exists under the warehousing development and regulatory authority, you don't need to move the commodity from warehouse A to warehouse B, because the trader is selling from trader A to trader B. Actually, you just can transfer the warehouse receipt. Commodity can continue to remain in warehouse A, and commodity can be finally moved when the consumer needs the commodity or the processor needs the commodity to be processed or to be consumed over a period in time. So that cuts down on our transportation costs and also wastages in the transportation, which is to the extent of 16 to 17%. So out of 100%, if we can cut down around 70 to 80%, actually, out of this 90,000 crores, which is existing on your left side of the screen, you could have saved around 60 to 65,000 crores, actually. And that 60 to 65,000 crores is about more than 60% of the total food security bill or food subsidy bill that India is paying up for, actually. So that's the focus that we need to get into, actually. Okay, so where are the losses coming in from? This is an estimate from Tamil Nadu Agricultural University. I just wanted to put it to you. And most of these losses are coming out of storage losses. The blue portion, actually, around 65% is coming out of the storage losses. And of the storage losses, be it rodents, be it insects, be it birds, be it moisture, all of this is actually leading to loss of food grains, is basically because we are not storing them, we are not packaging them in a scientific manner. So we need to look towards storing them and packaging them in a scientific manner. So this is another statistics in terms of losses of cereals, which is about 4.6 to 6% of around 325. So maybe around 20 to 25 million tons are lost due to wrong storage. I mean, the one that you see in the picture is basically because of overcapacity of the warehouses, actually, because we have 325 and we need storage for about at least 300 million tons of food grains, actually. But what do we have is around 160 to 170 million tons. And the rest of that is stored in an unorganized manner. Many of that is stored in open, in an unscientific manner. So that is leading to a lot of storage wastage that you have down all these PPTs. You have seen that, actually. Okay, so we need to reduce our wastage. Another growing sector that is coming up, which is your food processing industry. And why I say that it is growing, if you look at the percent of food produce that is converted into value-added products, we are much, much below even the developing countries. When I talk about developing countries, I'm talking about China, Thailand, Philippines, and Brazil. So we are just about less than 10% in terms of the percentage of food that are the agricultural products that are converted into value-added products. Actually, we need to move on, and that pressure is going to come from one, increasing women in the workforce. Actually, that basically means, I hope you are getting what I say, when more women get into workforce, they will seek convenient food, convenience foods, and convenience foods is more about processed food products, maybe prepared chapatis, maybe prepared, ready-made upmas, maybe ready-made batters and things like that, actually. So we need to move on in terms of our value-added products because of urbanization, women empowerment, and increasing income levels of the population, actually. So it's another thing. And still, India's manufacturing sector is about 14% of the GDP and 13% of the food exports, actually. So it has to go up a lot. And an increasing status and interesting statistics is that Indians spend about still 100 rupees of their income, 33 rupees they are spending on groceries and food. And when it comes to processed food, they would be spending more than that when more and more processed foods are available. So that will be forced by increasing income levels of Indian population, actually. And plus, who's going to change the food palette is your sizable young population, which is more than half of the population, which is below 35, the age of 35. And the other one, which is going to change, is there is an increasing number of expat Indian population who are living abroad, who are going to look for Indian basmati, who are going to look for Indian atta, who is going to look for Indian spices, actually. So chief workforce contribute to cost-effective processing of food. So the food processing industry, provided the right impetus, it's going to grow phenomenally. And while they grow phenomenally, the agriculture sector would have to grow as well, not only in terms of more production, but also in terms of production of quality, certified, standardized food products. So that is another area that we need to concentrate upon as a country. And that concentration would need more and more employment coming into quality certification, standardization of food products, storage of food products, financing of food products, and things like that. And liberal foreign direct investment policy. So today, the countries abroad, the fact businesses abroad can invest up to the extent of 100% into the food processing sector. And there are mega food parks that are being set up, and they will look on supply chain to be developed over a period in time, increase emphasis on skilling. And we today have food safety standards. Actually, we don't need to run around where are our standards. We don't need to check around who is going to tell whether the Everest spices are safe in the hands of the people or not. Today, we have an authority which can actually test and tell whether the processed spices are safe to be consumed or not. And we also need to focus on development of cold chains, actually. So end of the day, to sum it up, we need more scientific storage capacity, standardization and grading ecosystem, testing and certification infrastructure, and better connectivity to the supply chain, actually. And this is another picture to tell you where India was, which is, in terms of food processing market, estimated to be around 470. I don't think so. We would be 470. At least we would be somewhere between 300 to 350 billion dollars. So that basically means we need to have more standardized quality tested products. On the other hand, because most of these food products are produced seasonally, and so they are available cheaper when they are harvested and brought into the market. As they get out of the market, their prices increase, actually. So these food processors would like to procure during the harvest season and then carry it forward during the next 10 or 11 months, actually. While they procure and carry it forward, all of their capital would be locked up in the commodity or the agriculture commodity that they have procured and stored, and they will not be able to pay for their electricity bill, their rent, or their labor wages and everything. And so they may have to get it collateralized. They may have to get a loan against that particular commodity which they are storing, and which is where the growth is coming up, which is where the financialization of the commodity sector is coming up. And that financialization is also boosted by the coming in of the warehouse development and regulatory authority, actually. And that financialization is also pushed by the need for the food processor always to look for cheaper raw material, procure them, store them, and carry it forward, actually. So while carrying it forward, they would have to have ready access to finance by pledging these agriculture commodities which they have procured and stored in the warehouses actually. So this is where the scientific warehousing industry, backed by the commodity electronic negotiable warehouse receipts, which are issued by the repositories, are pretty critical in terms of connecting these commodities to the banks to make them a pledge worth asset class actually, so that they can take a loan at a very low interest rate, maybe at in the range of around 6.5 to 7%. If they get it, there's nothing more than that. If they don't get it, then the only risk, the credit that is available to them is a very high, credit rate, which is interest rate, which is around 13 to 14 to 15, depending upon the uncollateralized risk that they may face in the market actually. Okay, these are the common challenges in warehousing. We need to look for, increasing standard, scientific warehousing capacity. So I told you that we have warehousing development and regulatory authority that is actually enforcing scientific warehousing across the country. The question that it may come to your mind, sir, you said that there is an warehouse development regulatory authority, and that is actually going to lead to higher scientific storage of food, agriculture commodities. Actually, no, that is not actually. Only about 25 to 30% of storage capacities that are today scientific storage capacities available with WDRA. It is not only that our processing, the storage capacities would have to go up from 140 to somewhere around 250 to 275 million tons, but also that out of 140, we would only have around 60 million tons, which are scientific storage capacities. We need to enhance this scientific storage capacities so that the grains can be protected in terms of losses from storage, actually. Okay, so this is another statistics to tell you that this is what the food grain production is in India. And, here is one thing that, which is a significant number, actually. So 4 or 5 years ago, if I have asked anyone, hey, can you tell me one warehousing company? Everyone will say that it is Food Corporation of India or Central Warehousing Corporation and things like that. Today, there is a very strong private sector that is coming up and catching up with the public storages that are available, and that is growing as well, actually. And that growth has been enabled by the connectivity that they are enabling in the ecosystem. What is that connectivity that I am talking about? So that growth is also enabled by different schemes that are being put in by NABARD and central government, together, including various incentives, which is profit-linked tax deduction, 100% FDI that is permitted in the warehousing sector, reduction in basic custom duty if you are importing any cold storage machinery for cold storage and things like that. Financial assistance, of up to 10 crores if you want to participate under the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, actually. So that is to create warehousing facilities right where the farmers are, actually, so that they can be stored and they can actually dematerialize commodities and they can connect to the banks to get cheaper loans, actually. So that's the point. Okay, so this is how the warehousing has been changing over a period in time. We are looking at increasing private warehousing, and you today not only having an increasing set of private warehouse service providers, you also have a large agri warehousing service providers association. Today do not exist, but it existed about 2 years ago, actually. I just wanted to put the slide to tell you that these are names which you would have if you are an agri commodity related trader or a student or something like that. You would have heard it, somewhere here or there. If you are on LinkedIn, some of these companies do their postings on LinkedIn, actually. So National Bulk Handling Corporation, National Collateral Management Services Limited, Origo, Star Agri, Sri Subham Logistics, Go Green, actually. The CEO of Go Green is pretty active on the LinkedIn, so you can see. So that is meaning to say that they are coming up in a big way, actually, and they need more hands to work with them in terms of not only managing the warehouses, but also managing the connectivity to the finance, the world of finance, actually.
And warehouse receipt financing is also growing up over a period in time. Why it is growing up over a period in time? One, because there is an increasing need of finance, and two, also because that finance is needed by the food processing, the growing food processing sector at a very low interest rate. That means collateralized commodity based lending, actually. So it went up to the extent of 55,000 crores and 60,000 crores in 1819, and there were some frauds which happened actually that pushed the industry down. But again, they are going up because of the growth in the scientific warehousing and the electronic negotiable warehouse receipts, actually, and the trust that will be brought into the system by the warehouse development and regulatory authority. They are looking for some key changes in the powers that have been conferred on them. As these key changes come in, this trust level will jump up from 100% to 200% actually, so that all that what is stored under the WDRA accredited warehouse are all lendable by the banks actually. So that is the kind of change that is happening. And what is WDRA? WDRA stands for Warehouse Development and Regulatory Authority. When it was established in 2010, and it's about 14 years old. What they can do, they can register warehouses, scientific warehouses for for issuing negotiable warehouse receipts, electronic negotiable warehouse receipts, to promote efficiency in the warehousing business, to regulate the process of pledge, creation of charge. That is to say that how to lend against those warehouse receipts, electronic negotiable warehouse receipts. So the banks do not go to the warehouse to check whether they are there, but they are ensured by the warehouse repository man saying that, hey, you don't worry about it. I am daily checking it in and out, whether the commodity that you are lending is there in the warehouse or not, or somebody had stolen it, somebody had moved it illegally or something. So do not worry about it. I am there at the back, actually. So that is the kind of system that WDRA had brought in, and there is a kind of a trust that they had brought in. In addition to that, I told you about growing warehousing, private warehousing sector. They also have a very large collateral management function, actually, and that is actually what is collateral management, actually. When the banks lend against commodities and there is a default that is happening against that particular loan, the only way they can actually get the credit back is by selling the commodity which is beneath that particular warehouse receipt, actually. So let's say 10 tons of wheat has been lent on to the extent of around a lakh rupees, and this farmer failed to provide a lakh rupees before the expiry of the the quality of the wheat that is stored over there. So the bank actually can tell the collateral manager, say that, can you dispose it off in the market, because I don't have people who can dispose it off in the market. So this collateral manager has a established process and a practice through which they can do it in a transparent manner and transfer the funds back to the banks at a charge, which is called as collateral management fee, actually. So there is another revenue stream apart from the warehouse, storage fee that they would be charging over a period in time. That is one. In addition to that, they also collect and provide the prices of these grains over a period in time for the banks to check whether they are actually maintaining the haircuts adequately or not, actually. So they are also supply commodity related research over to them. So this is where the opportunity is there, actually. So this is about where it is, the industry is where we need to grow, and 90% of the industry today is unorganized. They are becoming more organized and scientific over a period in time. And why is warehousing is a skill set? Actually, warehousing is a skill set which has core warehousing operations, which has financing of commodities, which is warehouse receipt financing. You have quality testing, which are done today internally in the warehouse. And there are people who do either as a established employee or as a daily wage laborer. They are working in the warehouses, actually. So there has to be people management skills in the warehouses, actually. And somebody should know, the one who's managing the warehouse should also know how to maintain the workplace health and safety. And you also know what the value chain is and how do I enhance my business actually. And you should also know how to do pest management. And if you do pest management, can you do for others as well? So pest management is also an activity which is actually increasingly being done by these private warehouse service providers to other warehouses in terms of managing the pests actually. So there are a number of skill sets which have to be learned in the warehousing course actually. That is all available in the e-learning program that actually we have launched on the NISM website. And this e-learning program is being done by experts actually who do that in the industry and who have been doing for the last 1 decade or so. And they are coming and teaching you actually how to do warehousing operations, how to how to comply with WDRA requirements, how to mark a pledge, how to do collateral management for the banks and things like that, how to do the business development for my warehousing and collateral management practices and things like that. And the entire course is around 55 hours. If you sit at least 1 hour in a day, you can complete at least in two months, and you will have access up to 6 months. But minimum of one hour if you spend, you can complete that by in another 2 months or so. Each lecture will have 3 parts, and you will be tested for your understanding. Then only if you are positive in your test, then only you'll be allowed to go, and you will have access to the course about 6 months, and online exclusive reading materials will also available apart from the video, which is the recorded video actually. And after you complete all the video, you'll get a successful participation certificate. And then you can also register for online certification examination, which is conducted every 3 months actually. And that you can take it up sitting at from your home. You have to register, you have to pay up for the certification examination, and then you can get certified as well actually. So these are the fees. They may have changed of late actually. So you can access the website to see what is currently the fees. It may have gone down. That is what I just wanted to indicate actually. Okay. What is the career in the warehousing that I'm talking about? You can become a warehouse manager. Warehouse manager in the sense not managing one warehouse, manage warehouses for a particular district for a warehousing companies. You saw that about 6 or 9 warehousing companies in the picture. All these are actually looking for positions in the warehousing area with people who know what warehousing is actually. In the absence of that, they are picking up raw graduates and they are taking risks actually. And if one goes to them with certified, warehousing skill set, they will be ready to pick it up actually. You can, with some experience, become a consultant. You can become a consultant for the warehousing industry, and you can actually develop or help someone develop Internet of Things application, right from preventing frauds to checking quality of the commodities, enabling the scientific storage of the commodities to check the temperature and the moisture in the warehouse and things like that. You can actually do that, using technology, and you can help somebody to develop that technology. Or if you are an engineer and you're looking for, a profitable startup opportunity or something, this is one area where I would sincerely suggest you should look at how you can develop technology for the challenges which are faced by the warehousemen in terms of scientifically warehousing commodities. And you can become a collateral financing expert, how to finance against commodities. You can become an entrepreneur in warehousing. You can set up warehouses on your own. You know how to finance a warehouse. You know how to manage the warehouse. You know how to manage the human resources. Going through this course, you can become an entrepreneur in warehousing, and you can also contribute to development of technologies actually. And this is an e-learning course offered by NISM, and this is the campus. So do not ask me, would I be coming to the campus to study? No, this is an e-learning course and an online course actually. And with that, let me close it up. I still have 10 minutes for your questions actually. If you have questions, feel free to put me on the chat box. I'll be happy to answer them. सॉरी, मैं हिंदी में बात नहीं कर पाया था एक्चुअली, लेकिन आपको कुछ भी हिंदी में समझना है, आप जरूर हमें कॉल कर सकते हो, हमको पूछ सकते हो, warehousing इस कोर्स के बारे में हम आपको समझा सकते हैं जरूर। एक्चुअली मैं मतलब सबको दे करके इंग्लिश में किया था। Hi, sir. Will we get the certificate for this? Yes, you'll get a certificate when you pass all the videos, actually, because there are questions at the end of each and every video of 15 minutes, actually. And as you pass all the videos successfully answering the questions, then you will get a certificate of participation in the course. And if you sit for an online examination, which is about 3-hour examination of about 400 multiple choice questions, 100 multiple choice questions, then you will be, so there is a pass mark percentage which will be announced to you. And if you pass that exam, you'll get certified as a certified warehousing management personnel, actually. The graphs are not comparable. One is as on February, another calendar year. I'm not sure, Aditi, probably, my apologies if I have put in some comparable, taken some graphs which are, I have never attempted to compare the graphs at all. I have actually tried to tell you what the factual situation is and where we need to go on. That is what my purpose of putting up the graphs, actually. What are the policy to be included in food security? The first and foremost policy that has to be included is to mandate all the warehouses which are storing agricultural or processed agricultural commodities to be registered with WDRA for their scientific storage capabilities. And as you saw in this presentation, you can reduce around 60 to 70,000 crores worth of losses that are happening today in storage, transportation, and value chain, actually. How to implement holistically? Central government knows how to implement holistically. Put it by, make it mandatory. They have to meet that particular policy requirement, actually. So that's the foremost thing. If India has to make more food grains available for its population, also make more available food grains available. Let's say, for example, last October or November, India had to stop wheat exports, actually. And finally, we saw that expats in UAE, Dubai, and Sharjah, and everyone, coming up voicing against India's ban and the scan of and the scarcity which has been created by the ban on exports, and people actually queuing up before Walmart to get their bag of basmati rice and things like that. So those situations would go off, actually, if we have to manage it. The source of India's food grain production data, I have taken the food grains production data from the Government of India website, actually. The years may vary because I've shown those food grain production data on two different slides, and these two different slides showed two different numbers from two different years, actually. Approximately, take it that we have around 320 to 325 million metric tons of food grains, actually.
Is across which timeline, actually, which is for 1 year. India's food grain production data, 325 million tons in the last year, which is 2023-24 crop year. The crop year starts from July and ends up with June in the next year. Do we get certificate for the webinar, which is going on right now? Yes, I think my colleague, Sanket, who is here, who will help you to get the certificate. If you have registered with your email ID, they'll send it to you. Hi, sir, please elaborate what are career opportunities in this field and what are average salaries. Also, apart from the course, what other knowledge one aspirant must have, actually. Eligibility for the course, basic graduate. And if you have additional knowledge about the agriculture sector, agricultural commodities, agricultural value chain, that will be an added advantage. Otherwise, not necessary that you have to have that. And you will get skill sets in all aspects, including core warehousing operations, how to be compliant to WDRA, Warehousing Development and Regulatory Authority guidelines, and how to manage financing or creating flood finance and things like that, how to connect technology to a warehouse, how to be a consultant, how to be an entrepreneur setting up in warehousing. So umpteen number of opportunities in the warehousing sector.
which is going to come up in the year as there is a growing food processing sector, and that food processing sector would need more storages and more scientific storages, which are connected to the financial sector so that they can actually take finance against commodities, and we can, and they can operate smoothly, without locking up their working capital in procuring those commodities at a cheaper price. Can I start a warehousing consultant? Prithvi, I think you can actually start. Maybe what I would suggest if I were you, I'll take some experience in the warehousing sector with this knowledge of the certification. And then after that, you can become a warehousing consultant because you know what is actually theory says and you know how that is being followed in practice. And when you have seen both sides of the world, then that is where you become a consultant in helping warehouse owners in terms of how to manage their warehouses scientifically, how to connect their warehouses to repositories and banks and things like that. Actually, what is the support I can give to the society? That's a good question, actually. So there's a lot of warehouses that are there in the rural areas that are not connected to the Warehousing Development and Regulatory Authority. What you need to do is you need to educate them what WDRA is all about, what WDRA compliance is all about, and how you can empower farmers. Farmers immediately after the harvest actually had to sell off their commodities mainly because they need money. And because they have to sell it off, they receive very less money because of the higher supplies that are coming up for selling, actually. But if they are empowered to hold in the village by the farmer producer organization or the warehouses which are set up under the Gramin Bhandaran Yojana, which is NABARD has been operating, this is where you will do a lot in terms of giving it back to the society, the knowledge and the skill sets that you've got, actually. Global warming effects on grain production. Yes, obviously, global warming is actually challenging not only crop production, it also is challenging the warehousing of crops. It is also going to challenge how do you manage scientific warehousing of commodities. It is also going to challenge what do you have to track on a dynamic manner. What is the what is the humidity in your warehouse, what is the temperature in your warehouse, how do you manage that in a dynamic manner using technology is something you have to be aware about, actually. Polluted water used for irrigation, polluted water used for irrigation is used, what will be the quality control which will be put in place? I'm not sure, Shalini, what you're talking about. If that is about polluted water usage in a warehousing company, I mean, I don't think so. They are supposed to use water on any of the stored commodities, actually. And if they are using polluted water for their personnel who are working to consume human consumption purposes, then that is actually violating the norms of WDRA if it is a WDRA accredited warehouse, actually. And so when the WDRA or the accredited inspectors come in for inspection for meeting the compliance, actually, they may, they put it on record to WDRA to say that, hey, they are not compliant on this particular aspect, and WDRA may raise a show cause notice, and you have to either correct it and prove it, or you may have to face the penalty, or you may actually finally go, depending upon the seriousness of your ignorance or negligibility, they may actually de-accredit you. So this is what is going to happen. Okay, so this is what is the questions in the panel, in the question and answer panel is actually, okay, so there is a set of questions which are coming up from the overall webinar chat. I'm a retired banker. Can I take up the course? Obviously, sir, there is no, there's no age limit on who can do it. Especially, sir, since you are from the banking sector, definitely there will be a good service that you can give it back to the society, knowing what the warehouses are, how you can empower those rural warehouses to connect with the financing sector, actually. How to start a collateral finance company. I mean, you cannot start a collateral finance company. What you have to do is that basically means you are planning to start an NBFC or a bank. You have to have an RBA license, so it's not so easy. But you can connect a warehouse with a collateral a company which is financing against the commodity collateral. I am Ashish Lalwani, and I'm NISM 8 Series Equity Derivatives Certified, and I'm currently pursuing PGDM Finance, and I'm preparing for investment advisor and level 1, level 2, and an option trader for past 5 years. Will this course help me, and can you guide me for career? No, sorry, Ashish. I mean, whatever that you've been doing on the financial sector, and this course is more about agricultural commodities, actually the physical commodities and the markets, the physical markets and banking act. So you may have to learn new, and if you want to, then you have to take up this course, or you may have to take up a job with the warehousing sector to know more about it actually. Ashish Palmer having many restrictions on place as far as the storage of the grains and some crops are concerns under prevailing laws to avoid hoarding actually. Do you think this is hampering the growth of warehousing and investment from the private sector? I don't think, Ashish, this is a real concern actually. In fact, it is going to remove if you are going to make this as scientific warehousing capacities, because why do they put storage limits? They put storage limits or storage restrictions because they don't know who is storing how much actually. And end of the day, market is facing shortage, and everybody is actually from the parliament, government is facing the heat in terms of prices rising and everything actually, including the the consumers. So when these are scientific storage managed under the electronic commodity repositories, at one stroke of key, government will be able to know how much is of what commodity is being stored across the country, what is their quality, and who is holding them in the warehousing sector. They can immediately call the holder to say that, hey, the prices are rising and you cannot hold it more than that. And that is a new concern that is coming up, and so you cannot hold it more than that. So in fact, scientific warehousing capacities expanding, connecting with the commodity electronic negotiable repositories, commodity repositories is going to push transparency into the storage ecosystem. Yeah. With how many days does this webinar certificate will take to receive? Maybe I think my colleague will tell you. Course is in English language. Yeah, so yeah, it is in English language actually. So we are trying to actually transliterate it, but I don't know how quickly we will be able to transliterate it. So I think we have run into 5 o'clock now. If there are any one or two quick questions, put it on the box. I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, thank you everyone for your patient hearing, and look forward to having you joining the course, learning this new skill set actually, and take the country forward actually. If it is not about, as actually, I think Prithvi has asked about, if it is not about taking a job, how I can give it back to the society. This is how you can give it back to the society. Gaining your language, knowledge, and then using that knowledge actually to connect the farmers to the world of finance, connect the traders to the world of finance, connect the food processors to the world of finance, and generate commerce behind the warehousing ecosystem. This is what you can do. So that's about it. I think there are two more. Okay, so that's for thanks. Yeah, so my pleasure, everyone, and happy to see you over here. And my colleagues, Sanket is over here. Sanket, over to you if you have any comments.
So Sanket sir has to join for one another session. Sir, just to answer the query about the certificate, we will be issuing it in next 5 working days time to all the participants who has joined for the webinar.
Correct. But so don't stop at, just, the certificate of participation. Try your hand with this e-learning course. And it's not, we are charging you for the 55 hours around 1,000 rupees per hour or something. Even if you divide that, it may be less than 100 rupees an hour. And for the knowledge that you are getting from the experts in the warehousing industry, This is much, much valuable. And this is much more valuable to those who have done their basic degree in agriculture, actually. If you want to pursue your connect a job in bank, actually, a job in bank, especially on the collateral lending industry, you can pursue that. You can become a financing expert, actually. You can become a consultant to a bank. So these are all possible once you gain experience over a period in time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Saini. Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Pranya and Hemant and Neville, everyone. And I mean, hope to see you in the course over a period in time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for all your insights and hoping to see you back again soon. And thank to all the participants for coming and joining here on a weekend. And have a nice day, everybody. Thank you.